called alternative CMGC bidding process. And the intense interest that you have seen and will continue to see today exist within my organization. And I think it's pretty simple why. We've dropped 40,000 jobs since 2007. The industry's in complete collapse. There's over a 35% unemployment rate. There's no doubt this industry is hurting, and hurting as badly as any sector in this state. What is done for the contractors that are still in business, what they've done to stay open, is things like multiple rounds of layoffs, common practice. Bidding at cost has become more and more common practice. In fact, there are public agencies quite pleased that they're coming in at cost with no profit. Obviously, that's not a sustainable practice. You can't stay in business that way. You have to cover your overhead, and then you hope maybe there's a profit.
To get some competitiveness back into the environment and give opportunities to local contractors to keep the money that's being spent into the community. And it happens with Lane Community College, the city of Eugene. The jobs are going out, and I'm being told, why didn't I get the job? What did I do wrong? And you didn't really say the right things. You just didn't really your proposal didn't look that great. So the public's money's being spent based on how somebody's proposal looks. Maybe they don't like my logo. I don't know. So it's something that it was probably a good thing when it started, because there was I can imagine, and I know it was, when we've taken on major complicated remodel jobs that were bid out, and it's a mess. So DC, and there's also a need to kind of get it, where there's a review of the people that are putting these together, making these decisions, selecting these general contractors, to hold them under a little more scrutiny, because right now they have free reign to pick whoever they want, however they want, and basically do it. I mean, and they can choose to go CMGC, and I've seen it happen, and I've had to go to meetings with school boards and counties and cities and try to, tell you what I'm telling you right now, and thanks to some people around me, this is getting to where it is now, and this is a great cause, and I totally support this bill.
But the reality of the situation, too, is that there are some contractors out there who might give the low bid who probably aren't the ones that you want to have building your project. Somebody that maybe has never done anything over $1 million and it's a $20 million bid, or someone that has a record of court cases and for inept work or something like that. How can we modify this so that the agency does have the option to not go with the lowest bidder?
Well, that would be why you have to bond.
But let's use the little fiasco next door over here. The architects, they can have a bond, but the bond isn't going to cover the whole building. The bond, maybe say it was $1 million worth of architecture, just for example. But, heck, it wasn't even that much, say $500,000. And so their liability on that building isn't the whole scope of what the problem was. So what I'm saying is, you can have a bond all you want, but that doesn't mean that it's going to cover the whole project.
The construction bond is
all we learned about it was that it'll cost more to take it down than it did to build it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, but all I can say is this was the one solution. I mean, I really believe that it needs to be brought back into, and when Jerry gets up, we can talk more about it, but there's laws in place that I think if we put back in, and the least I know is that at least the Oregon University systems have exempted themselves from the ORS 279, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Get all the public agencies back in line and put a little more scrutiny on it, and have them have to go to, somewhere other than just, their local school board to say, hey, you guys cool if we do CMGC? Yeah, that we are. Because it's just too easy. And I don't have the solution for that. I just know that right now it's too loosey-goosey. It's too easy to be able to do it. And like I've said, I really don't know how you could say, okay, you guys go CMGC, but we want to make sure you're fair. Well, how do you prove they're being fair? It's a tough one to do.
Just to follow up, have you had a
management for public construction since May 2003 for projects up to $10 million, building colleges and lower level education, park facilities, gymnasiums, and even Oregon State University's Goss Stadium. In 2002, Oregon State Legislature passed Senate Bill 437 without asking those who would be affected. They agreed with Oregon University System and Associated General Contractors in changing the future of public contracting by way of allowing OUS to exempt 100% of their publicly funded projects from the bidding process. In that same Senate bill, they allowed OUS to make it so that Oregon University Foundation would not be subject to disclosing who their donations came from and who those donations were delivered to. Prior to Senate Bill 437, even every seasoned construction company had the opportunity to bid and work on OUS public construction projects by way of ORS 279. By 2005, no-bid public-funded capital construction projects were at the level of 50%. By 2009, after the announcement of the fallout of banks and the defunding of commercial construction projects and the worst catastrophe in the housing market began to disrupt OUS system, and almost every public agency turned their cheek on medium and small-sized companies and said, let them eat cake. By 2009, almost 100% of public-funded construction contracts were no bid. Historically, those contract awards were signed over to AGC's highest-earning construction companies. Those same companies' names are shown on AGC's other assumed name, Oregon Public Contracting Coalition, and members and contributors to the content of their white papers, which they will or have referred to you today. Those white papers written by Oregon University System and AGC contractors outline and sell no-bid public construction contracts. OUS will argue about the size of the projects and bonding capability. The governor's approved capital construction project list compared to the contracts provided by OUS demonstrate that smaller contracts were bundled into multiple award contracts known as MADOCs. Special scheduling, you will also hear arguments about how important it is that CMGC is in place to facilitate special scheduling. I want you to note that every public construction contract management includes special scheduling to be scheduled around the facility scheduling. Public construction contracts have become a golden ticket for high pay, high fees, and overloaded with overpaid and unnecessary management in a poor economy. There are few public construction general contractors and CMGC management companies that would tell the taxpayer the truth about Oregon's version of exempted public construction no-bid contracts. However, they told me, and their answer is after a laugh, that we make so much money off of it. ORS 279C 335, competitive bidding exemptions. It says it is unlikely that the exemption will encourage favoritism in the awarding of public improvement contracts or substantially diminish competition for public improvement contracts. It also says the awarding of public improvement contracts under the exemption will likely result in substantial cost savings in the contracting agency. That is impossible under CMGC, as they charge up to 20% of the end project cost to afford the management that was normally free and part of the construction contract. However, by granting these public agencies the right to remove taxpayer-afforded public construction projects from the public bidding process closes the door on other qualified contractors wanting to work on such projects. Essentially, Oregon State Legislature and public entities are the driving force to the final collapse of many of Oregon's construction industry-related businesses, just as Robert Gray Partners Incorporated. He is one of the Oregon's qualified general contractors of public construction, which has been denied the right to continue to bid or work on such projects due to the Oregon State Legislature's decision to block competition on public construction contracts. Ironically, this morning I used Kinko's, located on Commercial Street, the very building where I stood up in 2009 to protest against Salem Kaiser's exemption of over $200 million of public construction contracts. I sent a formal letter to the school district asking, begging for them not to exempt those construction contracts from the bidding process. They smugly turned to me and they said, "We will do as we want." I ended up standing there and I turned to them and I said, "I hope that every parent in this neighborhood whose child attends your schools finds out what you did today. I hope your churches find out." What they did is they awarded $17 million worth of public construction contracts to a company located on McAdam Boulevard in Portland, Oregon, rather than using local contractors in their area. That very day, over 200 homes within a 5-mile radius in Salem, Oregon, were in foreclosure. After Senate Bill 338A was introduced, where Oregon State University and several other public agencies had come forward and asked for further exemptions, Oregon State Legislature allowed increases in the budgets substantially. As a result of that, no bid contracts came in abundance. Owens Hall at Oregon Institute of Technology was increased to $35,181,000, and that contract went to Robinson Construction, which was no bid. Phase 2 steam loop overhaul at Portland State University was increased to $17,500,000, and that contract was given to Fortis. Western Oregon University was increased by $12 million, and that contract was given to Hoffman. Oregon University System campuses was increased to $34,614,000, and also their science building and Lincoln Hall, and those contracts were given to Howard S. Wright, no bid. Newburgh Hall was given to Lewis Crutcher Lewis at no bid. Portland State University plus renovations of Heckert was given to Walsh Construction, no bid. Reed was given to Howard S. Wright, no bid. Waldo Halls was given to Fortis Construction, no bid. Strand Agricultural Building was no bid. $12 million was added to the capital construction for the Health and Wellness Center for Oregon State University, and was given to Hoffman, no bid. Western Oregon University was raised to $6 million and was given to Hoffman, no bid. The Department of Community College and Workforce Development raised their contract for Clackamas by $2.5 million, Chemeketa by $10 million, and exempted all projects. Portland Community College was raised by $6,600,000. Those went no bid. 17 campuses.
Excuse me, Ms. Alexander.
Yes.
You're just sort of reading to us all the contracts
that's
which
true.
we have. Maybe
Because it
I've got
goes
a lot of
on.
people testify.
I do get that. And all I want to explain to you is that making these contracts no bid has killed the competition. These are taxpayer-afforded contracts. And I'm asking you, the same people that put you in your positions today, I'm asking you for you to do them right and allow the passing of Senate Bill 581. It creates like a united union between the unions, the non-union contractors, and also the minority contractors as well. It allows them a seat on this board, it allows them to examine projects that are considered no bid, and gives them a right to be able to look into those contracts.
Thank you. Questions?
And look at a project that was a CMGC project and test whether you could have gotten the deal better if you'd gone maybe the least cost bidding route. Is there any way to go in and to check to see that the taxpayer is actually getting the best bang for their buck?
In absolute way, the only way you would do that is to bid it out. The statute, though, does require.
I figured that question was coming up. As you know, we always have a hard time as minority contractors to get work as it is, and not having the opportunity to work under a CMGC, to develop our businesses, to become larger contractors, we'll have no opportunities to do so. So therefore, having that in place makes it easy for us to do so.
Taken a lot of time away from my business. My phone's been burning up off the hook today so that I could be here. But the issue is very, very important. The issue on the CMGC was the intent of the law was for emergency processes, not supposed to be the rule. And everybody here has said, you know, point in point, that there is an issue. Let's just kick the can down the road a little bit more and talk about it and not actually resolve any issues. The fact of the matter is, according to the Beaverton study by Dr. Williams,